Good morning to everyone, and welcome to our newest 5G in Americas webinar. This event aims to enrich the discussions about AI and its impacts on Latin America, focused on development and spectrum management for mobile services. Today, our guest speaker is Bruno Ramos, Regional Director for the Americas region at the International Telecommunications Union. Bruno Ramos has a degree in electronic engineering from the Polytechnic School of the University of São Paulo and holds two master's degrees, one in telecommunication regulation and the other in electronic engineering from the University of Brazil. Since 2013, he is the head of the ITU Americas Regional Office, based in Brazil, overseeing the ITU area offices in the Caribbean, South America, and Central America. In this role, he is responsible for fostering and strengthening relationships with high-level representatives of ITU member states, as well as telecommunications and ICT-related regional and international organizations. As the highest-ranking ITU representative in the Americas, Mr. Ramos plays a pivotal role in establishing partnerships to fulfill his ITU's mandate. He also advocates for the organization's work, emphasizing the importance of meaningful connectivity and extending services to those who are yet unconnected in the region. Prior to his tenure at the ITU, Mr. Ramos dedicated his career in Brazil to the telecommunications sector and various ICT-related issues. He served for 15 years at Telesp and Telebras, both public sector telecom companies, before taking over the senior position of Superintendent for Data, Mobile, and Satellite Communication at the Anatel, where he served for over 16 years. I would like to remind you that the opinions expressed in the following session are the responsibility of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the official position of 5G in Americas or any of its members. This webinar will be recorded and will be made available later on the 5G in Americas Scala YouTube channel. The link will be sent by email shortly. Lastly, this session will be moderated by José Otero, Vice President of 5G in Americas for Latin America and the Caribbean, who is going to give us a brief introduction to today's talk. Mr. Otero, please take the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Ludmila, and welcome, Bruno, and thank you for your disponibility to be part of this event. As everybody knows, one of the main objectives of 5G Americas is to generate information and share the knowledge with all the main actors of the telecommunication and ICT ecosystem in the region. As always, we are bringing here some of the key actors of the telecom and ICT space. And as always, we are going to have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation by Bruno. And you'll be able to ask questions either directly by raising your hand or just by writing them in the chat session. With that said, the floor is yours, Bruno.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jose. Can you hear me well?
Perfectly.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Me gustaría empezar saludando a todos en español, a todos los amigos y participantes de la región de Latinoamérica. Sí, es un gusto estar aquí. I'm going to change to English right now. So it's a real pleasure, and for me, it's an honor to be invited to be here. Thank you, Jose, also Ludmila and Mariana that entered in contact. So for me, it's very important to share with you the work of the International Telecommunication Union in some points. And the point that I'm going to explain to you today in a very, direct way is our work on AI, artificial intelligence. It will be, it's something that probably during the pandemic and after the pandemic, it's a specific point that is growing a lot, not only in the telecommunication sector, the ICT sector, but also in many, many other areas. So just to implement the Sustainable Development Goals, it's clear to us that the multi-stakeholder approach, so involving all stakeholders in the discussions and using ICTs in order to have a more inclusive world. So in the sense, it's the same for artificial intelligence. It's not only the technology, but also this, all other discussions that we need to have with this new technology that will for sure change the way that we live in the near future. I'm gonna share my screen right now because I have a presentation. Give me 2 seconds. So ITU is the UN agency specializing in information and communication technologies, ICTs. ITU members work together to bring the benefits of ICT to everyone worldwide. We coordinate the global allocation of radio frequency spectrum and satellite orbital positions. We develop international standards, providing technical foundations for global growth and innovation in ICT. And we also support countries around the world in advancing their ICT development. We are unique as the only UN agency with private-public model, bring 193 member states and over 900 companies in the international and just put here, and regional organizations. Before I begin, I want to show you something that recently come across our desk that might interest you. I want to take a look at this image and take a few seconds to try to imagine what is going on. Another one. And another one. Now, what it is? The listed Mission Impossible, new application. This is an art project called Follower, a bit of creative social commentary, if you will. What it is? They record 10 days of open cameras feeds from the major town squares, scrapped all publicity available, Instagram, photos, geo-tagged with the locations of the open cameras, used off-the-shelf AI tools to create a match. So now you can see that this person was doing right before that glorious Instagram selfie was taken. Why am I showing this to you? When we create AI for good in 2017, only a few people had this kind of technology. But I think it's safe to say that AI has now entered in the mainstream. Is it good? Bad? It depends, no? In this case, it's rather creative art project. But it's not hard to imagine how this could be used and abused in the wrong hands, which is exactly why we created AI for good. AI for good was built on the premises that we have not less than 10 years to achieve the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And AI holds promise to advance many of those goals and targets, for climate change, to education for all, to affordable healthcare, gender equality, autonomous driving, smart cities. The potential is there. There are no shortage of positive AI for good use cases, but how do we know these algorithms work equally well on men or women, on children, adults, or the elderly, on persons with different skin colors, persons with disabilities, or people in low resources settings? These are questions that don't occur naturally in the fast-paced tech industry, but they are things that we think about deeply for AI for good. So, how do we know what the problem to work on? What is good for one person might not be good for another. Different persons, countries, and cultures have different priorities and different understandings of what is good. We could spend a lot of time to decide what is good and what is not good, but one definition of what is good. So where do we begin? Luckily, we don't have to start from the scratch. So we have the UN SDGs, UN Sustainable Development Goals, 17 goals and 169 targets. This is our lighthouse guiding all efforts in a framework that benefits everyone. So, what is AI for good? The goal of AI for good is and always has been to identify practical applications of AI to advance to the UN SDGs and scale those solutions for global impact. So how do we do this kind of work? First of all, it's clear that we cannot do this alone. As I said, this multi-stakeholder process is very important in the current times. This is why AI for Good was created in partnership with 40 UN sister agencies. And we also co-lead the UN Interagency Work Group on AI with UNESCO. Now, the AI experts themselves would say that AI is too important to leave to the expert alone. Great efforts have been made to bring as many different voices to the table, like industry, academia, government, NGOs, civil society, artists. AI for Good is now present as a year-long digital media and collaboration platform under 3 program streams. Learn, which features rich programming composed of leading keynotes, debate, and discourse, expert talks, and interviews. Build, where people use our platform to work on pre-standardization efforts, solve machine learning challenges, and pitch startup. And connect, the third one, where people come to network, share knowledge, and best practices both virtually and hopefully physically once again next year. I'm going to show you very briefly the ITU standards community. So we have study groups, focus groups, workshops, and symposia. So membership-driven study groups are membership-driven. Study groups developing international standards. Focus groups are open to all interested parties. Focus groups define new directions in ITU standardization. And workshops and symposia open to all events, analyze emerging trends, and encourage peer learning. So we have here some specific areas in the ITU standardization, and these are technical foundations: transport, access and home networks, multimedia, service quality, numbering and emergency communications, cybersecurity, Internet of Things, environmental efficiency, quantum information tech, accessibility, and the most important thing that we are talking here, artificial intelligence. So how we work. These are the study groups that we have in the standardization area of the ITU. You can see that we have I'm not going to show off all of them to you, but after I'm gonna share my presentation that you can check each one of them just to find a specific group that is you have interest in. So you can also start following the discussions in the up-to-date discussions on each one of these areas. Just for example, these specific groups, they are very vertical. So operation aspects, economic and policy, environment, broadband, protocols, POS, transport, multimedia, security. And we have the ST20 that is, it's cross-cutting discussions on IoT, smart cities, and communities that use all of the other topics to discuss new recommendations and technical specifications. Companies in the network business are introducing AI and machine learning as part of their innovations to optimize network operations and increase energy and cost efficiency. Networks are growing in sophistication and complexity to meet the needs of a very diverse set of applications across industry sectors. AI and machine learning is playing a key part in managing this complexity. ITU standards for AI and mobile and machine learning provide a toolkit for AI machine learning integration in 5G and future networks as AI machine learning capabilities and networks evolve. These standards are based on the pre-standardization work undertaken by our focus group on machine learning for 5G and future networks. I think it's very important to you to know that and try to follow, because it's a very up-to-date discussion on the not only the long-term evolution, but also the short-term evolution of the 5G and other technologies that we are developing. So just an example, these standards for the toolkit on AI and machine learning. So the integration in 5G and future networks, you can find in this sequence of ITU-T. So just to explain to you, because in ITU we have 3 sectors. We have the radio sector that deals with radio frequencies, satellite, etc. So it's more related to radio. We have the development sector that is, we use the recommendations from the other 2 sectors just to try to help the members in the implementation of the new recommendation, new technologies. That's the sector that the regional of the ITU and where I work. So we are in, and we have the standardization sector, ITU-T, that is responsible for this kind of recommendations. So you can see that we have for each one of the sequence of the toolkit: architecture, intelligence evolution, data handling, machine learning marketplace integration, machine learning model services, machine learning sandboxes. We have one recommendation for each one of these topics. So I think it's important to you to know, and with this recommendations, you can find more information about what we are doing. So the case study number 1 that I want to share with you is machine learning 5G standards. Future networks are too complicated for humans to manage. Just the sheer volume of parameters needed to configure requires help from AI and machine learning. Many parts of the network, including radio access networks or networks, services, and management, are integrating in AI machine learning. So ITU toolkits, which are derived from long experience and domain expertise of our members, address some of the challenges listed above. One key example is the recommendation Y3172, ITU Architecture Framework for AI Machine Learning in Network, which provides a common framework to easily enable the upcoming users in the future networks. Another key example of the recommendations is the Y3621 Autonomous Networks Architecture Framework. In communication networks, there is a growing relationship between autonomy and AI, native technologies. This connection is driven by the need for more efficient and intelligent management of network infrastructure, as well as the increasing complexity of modern communication networks. The focus group on autonomous network produced an architecture framework for autonomous networks, which is integral for development of AI native future networks. There are more examples of AI and machine learning standards being developed in the IT. So, other example of the related standards that we are working on. Our standardization expert group for multimedia, ITUT Study Group 16, includes a working group dedicated to AI-enabled multimedia application. This is the question 516. As I need just to explain to you, because for each study group, we have a series of questions, and during a period of 4 years between standardization assemblies in the ITU, the standardization assembly that will take place this year in November in New Delhi, will define the new series of questions for the next 4 years in the standardization sector in the ITU. So the question 516 is exactly dedicated to AI-enabled multimedia applications. So in this specific question, we have 13 standards approved and 54 new standards currently under this development. I think it's important to you to know that it's a lot of work. So my presentation here is just to give you a flavor of the discussions, so you can afterwards, you can go through the work of the ITU, and even you can use our regional office to access the information and start entering the discussions in this area. Service equality assessment. AI machine learning is widely used in developing models to assess the quality of speech, audio, and video. For example, ITU standards for quality assessment of audiovisual streaming, in particular, progressive download and adaptive bitrate AV, is the recommendation P1203, and video streaming services up to 4K is the recommendation P1204. This is other area that we are working. I'm showing you a series of areas that is related, and they use the development of AI in order with the complexity of the networks. We have many areas that we are developing standards, just that they can be developed and they can put in place to use of the population of the world. ITU standards also address intelligent network analytics and diagnostics, and creation and performance testings for machine learning-based models to access the impact of the transmission network on speech quality for 4G voice services. So there you have the name of the recommendations for intelligent network analytics and diagnostics, E475 and the creation and performance testing for machine learning-based models as the P565. Finishing the service quality assessment, the lessons learned developing these recommendations, P1203, 1204, E475, or P565, have informed the development on ITU standard and supplement. So we have the guidance for development of machine learning-based solutions for QoS, QoE, prediction, and network performance management in telecommunication scenarios. And also we have the considerations for the development of new QoS, QoE related objective models to be embedded in standard prepared by this ITU-T study group 12. Other area is energy efficiency. So you can see that in the development of the standards for AI, we have many areas. So just for your information, my first presentation that I start to build to you had around 100 slides. So I tried to minimize just to, try to put in the time that I have here. But I'm trying to show you a lot of, specific areas that are important in the development of the whole environment in the development of AI and machine learning. So in energy efficiency, an ITU standard specifies a data center infrastructure management system based in big data and AI technology, supporting DCIM systems in reducing the energy required to control data center temperature. One key aspect of this smart energy control is that it gives priority to the intake of power from renewable and low carbon energy sources. Also, for cable networks, that is very important for us in developing countries, and ITU standards provides the framework for a premium cable networks platform to support industry in offering advanced multimedia services. In addition to this recommendation, that is J1600, this new series of ITU standard on AI assistant cable networks includes functional requirements for smart home gateway, architecture for smart home gateway, and functional requirements for E2E network platforms to enhance the delivery of cloud VR services over integrated broadband cable networks. So it's in this slide, I'm showing you that we have a lot of areas in development of the standard using each part of the telecom services, telecom sector, just to provide new solutions that will include AI and machine learning and development. Continuing with cable networks, an ITU standard provides the framework for, as I said, to smart home gateways, architecture for smart home gateways, and requirements for E2E network platforms. AI is one of the 5 characteristics of the new ITU framework to support smart services operation. So we have the resolution M3041. The new ITU standard in this domain address 1, AI enhanced telecom operation and management, energy saving for 5G radio access network with AI. 3, work under progressing on M3382 and log analysis and telecom management with AI. Intelligence levels and their evolution in AI enhanced telecom operation and management, and robot-based smart patrols for telecom networks. So, as I said, this is the 5 points that the new ITU standards are in this domain address. Okay, so AI related focus groups and initiatives. So I talked a little bit about the structure of the study groups. As I said, the three pillars, study groups. Right now, I'm talking about study groups are for the members of the ITU. So member states and sector members. Member states are governments, administrations, and sector members are private companies, academia, and other related observers from the ITU. Right now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the related focus groups and initiatives that are open to the whole multi-stakeholder environment. We have AI for health, AI and Internet of Things for digital architecture, AI for natural disaster management, machine learning and 5G, AI for environmental efficiency, AI and data commons, AI for road safety, AI for autonomous and assisted driving, and also we have the UN Special Envoy for Road Safety and Envoy on Technology. So these are pre-standardization efforts. So in these AI focus groups and initiatives, as I said, there's many like AI for health that we have a lot of discussions. They are part of the pre-standardization effort. So with these open groups, open discussions with in this multi-stakeholder process, we have the pre-standardization efforts that can drive the standardization process that I talked earlier in the study groups of the ITU. So the study groups of the ITU in the T sector, in the standardization sector, we have the development of the standards to be implemented by the industry and to have new equipment and new solutions to be implemented in the ICT sector. In this pre-standardization efforts, we discuss openly the way that we are going to follow in the standardization process. Also, we have the ITU journal. The ITU also publishes scientific papers through the ITU journal on future and evolving technologies. This journal considers yet to be published papers addressing fundamental and applying researches and discussed the implications of the latest research results for policy and regulation, legal frameworks, the economy, and society. So far, several special issues of AI and machine learning has been published. For example, 3 special issues on AI and machine learning solutions and in 5G. We have also the United Nations activities on AI. So we have this report. So in my presentation, you can click there, the new online portal and reporting on UN AI related activities and projects. It's not only the work of the ITU. So as I said in the beginning of my presentation, we are with around 40 sister agencies of the UN discussing AI. During the presentation of that application in the beginning of my presentation, AI will change not only the technology that we are going to use, but the AI will change also a lot of areas of our life. For instance, they are going to change how we connect with other people, will change the way we work. So right now, I had this morning just to explain to you a long discussion about remote interpretation. So in this event that we are right now, we don't have interpretation, but we could have. So it will be done by a person where? Because we are not in the same place. We are doing this event virtually. So we need to use remote interpretation. But the discussions is it really necessary to have an interpreter, a person, to do the interpretation to us? For instance, I'm talking in English to you. Maybe we could have in the future a machine just can interpret, do the interpretation in other language, like in Spanish or in Portuguese. So AI will change it. That's the reason, and also the way we work. So we have the International Labor Organization that is discussing a lot the new forms of work. So that's the reason that we need to check the whole portfolio, the whole agencies of the UN, in order to discuss as a group the implementation of AI and machine learning in our lives in the future. So important thing, returning to the beginning of my presentation, we have the goal as UN agencies. In 2015, the members of the UN signed the definition of the 2030 agenda. So the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, where we want to be in 2030. This is our goal, to use with our work to implement the SDGs, to implement all the 16+1 Sustainable Development Goals. The 17th one is partnership, but we have the all other goals to be implemented, and our work in the UN is to help the members implementing the Sustainable Development Goals just to reach the objectives and the goals of the 2030 agenda. So going to finish my presentation, I'm sorry, Jose, that I took more than 30 minutes, but I'm almost finishing. I'm gonna explain to you a little bit about the next AI for Good that will be held in Geneva, in Switzerland, 31 May 2024. So we have here some early confirmed speakers. Even for me, it's difficult to read because it's very small, but as I said, we are working hard to have high level and very important speakers and up-to-date discussions during the AI for Good event in Geneva. So it's important, if you don't have seen yet the program, you can go to the IT webpage and the IT webpage of AI for Good. So you can check the whole agenda. We are going to have excellent discussions during this week in Geneva. And also it will be open virtually too. So last year, frankly speaking, I was at the office, so I participated virtually, but I used a robot just to walk through the event. It was very nice just to see people. So probably they are going to offer this kind of service in this AI for Good too. In the AI for Good in Geneva, we are going to have plus 40 demos and exhibits confirmed, plus than 20 presentations at the Frontier AI stage, and a mix of BMI, drones, robotics, VR, AR, and arts. So we also we're going to use embedded robot UN robots exclusive interviews. So we will have some interviews. It was very interesting last year just to check the stage of the development of these interviews with robots. We had a panel only with robots last year. So I don't know specific for this one, but for sure after 1 year, probably the experience will be better. Our platform is at your service. Here we can offer our platform as a service to get more involved. You could focus on the upcoming AI and public services track, and also offer to host an innovation factory focused on Tunisian startups. So join weekly sessions and AI for Good, find expert partners, collaborators inside and outside of the UN, be visible. So leverage neural networks to share AI activities, join existing panels and propose new joint current sessions, join focus groups, challenges, initiatives to work on building blocks for AI for Good, and use platforms to propose new activities, initiatives, pitching sessions, and challenges. So to finish my presentation, this is the links for the AI for Good. As I said, I'm going to share my presentation to you, and that's it. So I want to thank you so much for this time, Jose. Thank you so much for the invitation, and I am at your disposal for open discussions. I think it's not answers. No. I think it's better to have open discussions about our future and the use of AI in our lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bruno. We already have one comment on the chat. It's from France. Clean. Hold on. You did that and I lost it.